Myoho Renge Kyo. Namo Myoho Renge Kyo, Namo Myoho Renge Kyo, Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. Hi, how you doing? Ooh, sorry, that came out of nowhere. Need to breathe. Hope you're in good health, secure. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your practice. Yes. Thank you for your support. Now I have a little blurb at the end of this video that I pre-recorded to talk about what I'm doing. We've demonetized. Anyway, save that for later. Deep thought. Concentration, insight, contemplation, profound introspection, Gohanzon mind, Samadhi, jhanas. Buddhism is full of terms looking at this aspect of our mind that is so multifaceted that it's actually trying to describe a sphere by a coordinate of planes. Yeah. So people have emailed me, asking me about a comparison of the Daimoku and Samadhi, or jhanas, or states of mind, or levels of this, levels of that. First of all, let me get that out of the way. Myoho Renge Kyo, Namo Myoho Renge Kyo, is an invocation of our ninth consciousness, our open Buddha experience. It blows away that duality, the duality that we tend to fall into because we're samsaric, of the mind and the cosmos, of the mind or thought and what's going on. Well, Buddha is not that. Buddha is the complete evaporation of the idea, the concept, the premise that there are two. The word duality. Understand what that means. When you see yourself, quote unquote, as a individuated or separate thing or aspect than everything else, whether it's other people or the entire universe. Buddhahood is a non-separator, is a de-separator. See, the duality is the essential core, the a priori condition of the Saha world and our samsaric mind. Enlightenment is the experience of no separation, because every single particle, atom, molecule, energetic formation is momentum. It's happening moment to moment, moment. Birth, death, birth, death, birth, death, birth, death, birth, death, birth, death. Moment to moment to moment to moment to moment. Here we are, here we are, here we are, here we are. We are, no, being. Being. Everything is being. You are everything. Everything is you. You is simply a referential point of experiencing. And the only reason you have that is because you have sentience. You have awareness of the process ongoing, of which you are a part. Samadhi is an old teaching term, a conceptual effort at peering into this nature of our mind, and it's a sizable entry in the Buddhism Reference, because we have to, for our practice, we have to understand what it meant, what it means to us now, how it compares with other terms that we use to investigate this quality of mind. But honestly, Namo Myoho Renge Kyo, boom, that's it. That goes beyond samadhi, beyond contemplation, all of those different words, trying to look at this invocation, this immediate, this switch, this opening of the eye from duality to non-duality, to experience of the momentum, the engine of life. This is a word often seen but seldom explored in the literature of Buddhism, as it concerns our modern practice of Lotus Sutra Buddhism and Nichiren's modern doctrines of correct and efficient practice. Samadhi is an ancient word of training and preparation for the penetration of the mind. As a training, samadhi is clearly outlined in the early practices of Shakyamuni's teachings, using samsaric physical tools of the human body to lead to insights of the functionings of the sentient mind. From the observation of the breath to the ultimate singly focused concentration of isolation from distractions, with the Lotus Sutra, Shakyamuni takes this preparation to a new level of attainment, where the mind is understood as a transitory space to establish a paradigm shift from the mentations of the physical world of samsara to the enlightened and fully realized cognizance of experience as it happens. In Nichiren practice, this idea of awakening the mind to a distinctly liberated state is done through the use of a transformative and active samadhi, or meditation of invocation, by using the very physical attributes of the skandhas, the consciousnesses, to shut down the wandering distractions of the mind and redirect via a clear mirror, the mandala, into the aspect of mind that is fundamentally unattached, non-dual, the ninth consciousness, to the physical reality of samsara. This gateway, as Nagarjuna would refer to it, is what Nichiren calls the Honzon, the ultimate goal of Buddhist awakening practice. As the ultimate goal, Nichiren adds the prefix go to render go Honzon as the identifier of the gate to the Buddha eye, or realization of the Buddha mind. With the invocation of the Lotus teachings, which are built upon all the preparatory teachings of the previous 42 years of training, one culminates the practice with the transmigration of dedicated commitment to the enlightened state of Buddha by singing the Dharma, Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. This samadhi, quote-unquote, transcends samsara immediately and usurps the mundane world to render the mind clear, pure, and awakened to the engine of life. Some history for context of early training. Indian Mahayana, the earliest extant Indian Mahayana texts, emphasize ascetic practices, forest dwelling, and states of meditative oneness, i.e. samadhi. This these practices seem to have occupied a central place in early Mahayana also because they, quote, may have given access to fresh revelations and inspiration, end quote. Indian Mahayana traditions refer to numerous forms of samadhi. For example, section 21 of the Mahayutpati records 118 distinct forms of samadhi, and the Samadhi Raja Sutra has as its main theme a samadhi called the samadhi that is manifested as the sameness of the essential nature of all dharmas. Isn't that what I was describing earlier? From duality to non-duality? See, we can easily get confused by all this terminology and words, but all of them are desperately trying to signify this one truth, and that all life is an ongoing process. Life does not exist in the past nor the future. It exists only in the moment of experience. Moment to moment to moment to moment. Sama Samadhi and Dhyana. Sama Samadhi, right Samadhi, is the last of the 8 elements of the Noble Eightfold Path. Remember? It's from very early teaching. When Samadhi is developed, things are understood as they really are. Non-dual, non-other. Sama Samadhi is explicated as dhyana, which is traditionally interpreted as one-pointed concentration. Yet, in the stock formula of dhyana samadhi is only mentioned in the second dhyana to give way to a state of equanimity and mindfulness, in which one keeps access to the senses in a mindful way, avoiding primary responses to the sense impressions. In other words, no longer craving or clinging the skandhas, right? Pleasing of the sense of smell, of vision, of sound, of touch, so on and so forth. No need for that, because all of it is happening at the same moment to moment to moment. It's all real all the time. There is no on and off. That's a duality. To have an on is to presuppose an off. To have an off is to presuppose an on. There is only ongoing, being. There is no on and off. The origins of the practice of dhyana are a matter of dispute. According to Krangle, the development of meditative practices in ancient India was a complex interplay between Vedic and non-Vedic traditions. That goes back some 12,000 BC, right? According to Bronkhorst, the 4 Rupa jhana may be an original contribution of the Buddha to the religious landscape of India, which formed an alternative to the painful ascetic practices of the Jains, while the Arupa jhana were incorporated from non-Buddhist ascetic traditions. Right? Because back in those days, it was thought that unless you felt real pain of some sort, physical, mental, whatever, you would not be delivered in your mind to higher states of awareness. I don't know why this is a human tendency, but we've seen it throughout history, yeah? Alexander Huynh argues that dhyana was incorporated from Brahmanical practices in the Nikayas ascribed to Alara Kalama and Udaka Ramaputta. These practices were paired to mindfulness and insight and given a new interpretation. Kalapuhana also argues that the Buddha, quote, reverted to the meditational practices, end quote, he had learned from Alara Kalama and Udaka Ramaputta. Now, you've heard me say many times, when Shakyamuni first attained his enlightenment, whether that was 6 or 7 years or a dozen years, depending on which historian you follow. Nobody argues that it wasn't multiple years. And his path started out seeking the greatest Brahma class or caste minds, teachers, to attain this realization, right? That life did not have to be lived in suffering. And one after another, these, whether they were ascetic practices or meditative practices, they took him more steps along the way, but they didn't achieve what he was looking for. He had to do that on his own, which again is validation for our practice being an individual one, right? Though it's ironic that the very thing we discover is that there is no individual, but it is our individual path because we are saha, physical beings, and thinking samsarically, we have to use the tools that we're built with in order to transcend those very tools. That is the practice of Buddhism. But how many times have you heard me say, when he first started his first sermon, his first teaching, the Avatamsaka Sutra, right? Or flower garland, or it goes by many names. In Japanese, Kigan, right? His listeners looked at him like he was from another planet. They didn't understand what he was talking about. And Shakyamuni, he only tried to deliver that teaching over the span of 2-3 weeks. Some say maybe 4 weeks, very brief time, before he realized, oh, I'm telling these people what I've realized without giving them the benefit of having gone through all the transitions that have for years now. I need to teach this in a way to rapidly bring them through those steps of realization until they're ready to do as I did, which is the Lotus Sutra teaching, yeah? So this is saying exactly the same thing. There were aspects of teachings of Samadhi that he used that he had learned from his teachers, right? Because he was incorporating the same steps he went through in his teachings of Buddhahood, Buddha. The Rupa Jhanas. In the sutras, jhana is entered when one sits down cross-legged and establishes mindfulness. According to Buddhist tradition, it may be supported by anapanasati, mindfulness of breathing, a core meditative practice which can be found in almost all schools of Buddhism. The Sutta and the Agamas describe 4 stages of Rupa Jhana. Rupa refers to the material realm, saha, in a neutral stance as differentiated from the kama reality, lust and desire, right? Craving and clinging. And the arupa realm, non-material realm. And see, these are all separated, but we're getting away from that when we truly invoke Buddha. While interpreted in the Theravada tradition as describing a deepening concentration and one-pointedness, momentum, originally the jhanas seem to describe a development from investigating body and mind and abandoning unwholesome states to perfected equanimity and watchfulness, an understanding which is retained in Zen and Dzogchen. Dzogchen, I always say his name weird. He's one of the patriarchs of Zen. The stock description of the jhanas with traditional and alternative interpretations is as follows. The first jhana is separated from desires for sensual pleasures, separated from other unwholesome states. A bhikkhu, enters upon and abides in the first jhana, which is mental joy and bodily sukha or pleasure born of viveka, traditionally seclusion, alternatively discrimination of the dhammas, accompanied by vitarka vikara, traditionally initial Oops, another typo. Initial and sustained attention to a meditative object. Alternatively, initial inquiry and subsequent investigation of dhammas, defilements, and wholesome thoughts. Also, discursive thought. So, these are just descriptions of the steps of meditation. But, remember, we do all of this without thinking about it when we chant Namo Myo Renge Kyo. That's exactly what that chant does, is it knocks all of that out without our having to focus on it. Having to focus on it is samsaric. Why would you do that? You see how insanely locked that loop is? We discard the loop altogether. Namo Myo Renge Kyo. Anyway, there's a typo. Where's the other one? Anyway, second jhana, again, with the stilling of vitaraka vikara, a bhikkhu enters upon and abides in the second jhana, which is mental and bodily, born of samadhi, sukha, born of concentration, but non-discursive, awareness, bringing the buried latencies or samkaras into full view, and has a sampasadana, or a stillness, an inner tranquility, and ekagata, unification of mind and awareness, without vitarka vikara. All that word salad is simply to understand that your second stage of focused concentration is one of synchronicity, with everything happening moment to moment to moment to moment. The third stage of jhana, with the fading away of piti, a bhikkhu abides in the upekkha, equanimity or effective detachment. Detachment from everything? No. The oneness of everything gets rid of the necessity for craving and clinging, attachment. You see, we make this mistake all the time when people start learning in Buddhism that it's all about detaching, decoupling ourselves from everything. No, what we decouple is our craving and clinging for those things. We live, or we are with them in the same stream of energy, of momentum. Experiencing sukha with the body, he enters upon and abides in the third jhana, on account of which the noble ones announce abiding in bodily pleasure. One is equanimous and mindful, calmed. Right? When you see that everything is happening at once, and there is no separation, there is no duality, it's a fulfillment that renders calm, because there's no tension. When craving and clinging are gone, there just is being. It's like when you stop wrestling in the water, worried about dropping in the water and drowning, and you relax, you simply float. And that's an amazing detachment from all those fears. And the fourth jhana, finally, with the abandoning of the desire for pleasure in our skandhas, our different senses, and aversion to dukkha, pain, and with the previous disappearance of the inner movement between somanasa, or gladness, and domanasa, discontent, a bhikkhu enters upon and abides in the fourth jhana, which is adukkam, asukham, neither painful nor pleasurable, freedom from pleasure and pain, and has complete purity of equanimity and mindfulness. So that would be, in a more well-known term, nirvana, right? So again, Buddhism has tons of terms, it would seem, for the same thing. But understand that these are terms used like anything else we learn in life. There are terms that are very discerning of particulars of what we're learning until those particulars are no longer necessary, because by invoking something we know, all of that's already packaged in that, right? We don't have to explain what peanut butter is and what jelly is and how bread is made in order to understand a PB&J, right? If somebody offers you a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, you immediately know, right? You don't have to know how all the peanut butter is made, what peanut butter is, why is it called. You don't need that information. You've learned that. Now you can just say PB&J, right? And then we move on. This is just how we learn because of samsara, because we live in a mind of discernments. And in order to simplify our world, ironically, we have to have more deeply discerned thoughts in order to then discard them, so to speak. And nirvana is another level of that same learning. We take everything that we've learned as possessions, ownership that we crave and we cling to, and we just know they're coexistent, moment to moment to moment. No stress, no anxiety. Here we go. All right. Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. I hope that brought some insight, provided maybe some avenues of study. But this is the brilliance of the Lotus Sutra, isn't it? And Nichiren, thank you, Nichiren. Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. There's the whole thing right there. Couldn't be simpler. All right, watch this little blurb I put together on support for our non-monetized videos. By the way, I've got like 2,000 or more video podcasts on this channel. So please use the middle search there on the homepage of this channel to look within this compendium of videos for any search term that you're looking for. Keep in mind, some of the videos are fairly old, and my rhetoric has evolved over time, and it's constantly doing that. So I hope there's nothing confusing there, but if there is, please email me or mention it in the comments. I read every one of them. And in the meantime, please take care of your health so you can keep your practice strong, stay confident, and live your most fully expressed life. Yeah. I love you guys, so keep up your practice, savor it. And I'll see you in the next one. Promise. Bye for now. Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. Hi, everyone. I hope you'll indulge me just a couple of moments here of your time to make a quick announcement. As you know, I've worked over decades and over the last decade building this channel with thousands of videos of lessons and insights and instruction. And I have a website to match it with lots of free information. There's free podcasts. There's the bookstore. There's the mandala store. The whole mission here is to support your practice and build your confidence daily for manifesting your maximum potential. Yes? In that regard, I decided recently to demonetize my videos because, quite frankly, how can you pay attention and focus and be motivated to practice Buddhism when you're constantly being barraged by commercials? So, no more, right? Although it wasn't, because of the size of our Sangha and the way YouTube works now, it's not nearly as supportive as it used to be. So that's another reason to why bother, right? But YouTube has come up with another way to help support, and I thought I would give it a try and see if it's not obtrusive, and see if you guys would participate or enjoy this avenue towards supporting the Sangha and all these resources, and that is a join button. And so you'll see that really soon. It'll pop up. And when you join, there's 4 different levels of joining, whatever. And, by simply being here, you're part of the Sangha. You don't have to pay a membership fee or any of that. This is just an option. And as a thank you for committing to a donation, a regular donation, I will send you a PDF copy of, depending on the level, 1, 2, 3, 5 books. And that could include a TIFF or a PDF high resolution of a Nichiren inscribed mandala, but also the liturgy, the Gango book, Buddhism Reference, my annotated Threefold Lotus Dharma Sutra book. They're all listed in the join. So take a look, take a moment, click the button and see what's on offer. And if it works for you, we would be eternally grateful. We would be very grateful for the support to keep things going here. Okay? That's all I wanted to say. And thank you, as always, for your support, just being here, liking and subscribing. And if you're already buying ebooks and purchasing other books, you're part of the Sangha and you're supporting. So thank you for that, right? But look for that join button, right? Just check it out, see if it works for you. If I don't get much action on it, well, I'll discontinue it. But at least it's not interrupting every darn video, is it? So, so it's just another way for you to participate in keeping us afloat. Thanks again. Namo Myo Renge Kyo. Enjoy the video.